Hello, Dale here from Inspired Game Reviews. In this video I will be giving a review for Star Wars Battlefront, the first Star Wars game to release since Disney purchased the rights to the franchise, and the latest game developed by DICE. Star Wars Battlefront is a multiplayer first-person shooter set in the titular Star Wars universe, which allows the player to participate in battles set throughout the timeline of episodes 4 through 6, as well as the time between episodes 6 and 7. As a multiplayer FPS in the same market as Call of Duty, Battlefront has a high bar set in order to win over fans, and the fact that it shares the same title as two of the most beloved Star Wars games make that bar even higher. Like most modern multiplayer FPSs, Star Wars Battlefront has a variety of game modes ranging from vehicular team deathmatch to asynchronous objective-based battles. Despite having a variety of modes, I feel that only 3 of the modes are enjoyable, but they all suffer from the issue of getting boring fast. The first of these 3 modes is Walker Assault, which I believe is Battlefront's flagship mode. The mode does an excellent job of displaying the Battle of Hoth and several other battles not shown in the films. However, once you've seen it a few times, it gets old and the fun wears off. Then there's Clash, which is Battlefront's bog standard team deathmatch mode. By bog standard, the mode, while enjoyable, is literally nothing but a simple run around and shoot people mode. There is literally nothing to spice this mode up, such as objectives, challenges, or even a weapon in the middle of the map to get everyone to rush to and compete to grab. The final mode is Heroes vs Villains, which is essentially as the title says in that it pits the game's 3 heroes against the 3 villains, with the objective of eliminating the other team's heroes. This mode is really fun to play, however, like the other modes, it gets old quick when the fact that the heroes are massively overpowered when compared to the villains. There is literally one villain that is worth using, while all 3 of the heroes have a good use. The other modes that I haven't talked about are really unbalanced and honestly not very fun to play. I will mention that Fighter Squadron, the air combat mode, seems fun on paper, but the Rebels aircraft is superior to the Empire's, in that the X-Wings and A-Wings have a shield ability, which makes them invulnerable to damage, while the TIE Fighters and Interceptors only have a boost ability, which doesn't serve much purpose other than to get around quickly. As a game developed by DICE, it is expected that Battlefront would be a multiplayer shooter with a lot of depth and balancing. Unfortunately, like the game modes, this isn't the case. Most of the weapons are horribly unbalanced, where only 3 of the weapons are worth using. The rest suffer from poor damage and accuracy. The game also has a huge lack of depth. In fact, it is extremely shallow. It's because of a bunch of poor game design choices why this is so. Things like vehicles and heroes being relegated to pickups scattered around the map, opposed to Battlefield where you simply hop into a vehicle, make the game feel incredibly arcadey. Another main flaw of the game is that the progression system may as well be non-existent. The game has a basic level up system and has nothing in the way of endgame content like say Prestige from Call of Duty. So once you reach max level you may as well say you've completed the game, as there is nothing to unlock and all you'll be doing from now on is replaying the same modes with no incentive. I keep mentioning Battlefront as a multiplayer FPS. The reason for this is because while the game has offline content, it may as well not, because what is offered is nothing other than a simple tutorial mode which is a one time and it's done thing, and a survival mode which is literally survive against 15 waves of increasingly difficult waves of stormtroopers. The survival mode is the only fun one here, but I'll admit after surviving all waves once, I didn't feel compelled to play anymore. There is also an offline bot match which is by far one of the worst I've ever seen in a while. It is simply nothing other than kill mindless enemies and pick up coins to score points after a kill. There are no modes other than this for offline bot match and it only uses 4 of the game's 12 maps. Despite all this, there is one thing that Battlefront absolutely nails: the presentation. Battlefront is one of the nicest looking shooters currently available for the PS4, and I may as well add the nicest looking Star Wars game available. The environments look gorgeous, whether it's the snowy landscapes of Hoth or the lush forests of Endor. The backdrops of the maps are a whole other thing. On the Jakku map there is a Star Destroyer which crashes into the distant desert, and it looks like it is actually part of the map, not just a 2D background. Presentation is good and all, but it doesn't excuse a lackluster and shallow game with horrible balancing. While I'm not a fan of the prequels, the game should have still had content from them, as they had good battles, vehicles, and weapons, which would have been great for a game which is supposed to recreate the battles of the Star Wars universe. There is also the lack of offline modes. A fan favourite of the original games was Galactic Conquest. It baffles me why DICE didn't bring an enhanced version of this mode utilising all the new tech of modern consoles and PCs. The game could have even had a simple campaign mode where you play as the Rebels and go through all the major battles starting episode 4 all the way to the Battle of Jakku. Because of this, I would not recommend Battlefront, as the game is honestly only really fun for a few hours, and once the Star Wars awesomeness wears off, the game is little more than a bare-bones shooter with no depth. I suppose if you want to give it a try, either get it when the price drops bundled with all the DLC if there's an edition and such, or borrow the game off a friend.